Hey guys, welcome back to another Division video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at a build, but this time it's a bit different. This is a build coming from a comment that was suggested to me in a previous video that I did. This build came from Michael Wynn, right? So this is the build. I'm going to show it here on the screen. Now I wasn't able to exactly copy every single item in the build, but I think this is pretty good. Like, the only thing that I would change here is the firm handshake. I want that to have like probably armor roll, but anyways, there's like a few changes here, but the main concept is to use 3-piece electric, right? So he suggested a build, but my reply was yeah, this is just me trying out to use like the new brand set, which is electric. As you all know, electric set or electric brand gives status effects, shock resistance, and SMG damage. So my previous build was focusing on the weapon damage that you get from the third bonus, which is SMG damage. If you combine that with firm handshake, which is also a, it gives you 10% SMG damage, that's like 20% SMG damage, right? So he suggested that, take a look at this build. This time it's gonna be status effects and skill damage, and I tested it, and it's really strong. And another thing that is really nice about firm handshake and electric is that this unique or named item firm handshake has the sub attribute of status effects 15%. Okay, so you have 10% SMG damage here and a 15% status effects on the attribute, which lines up with the bonuses that we get from electric, which is 10% status effects and SMG damage as the third brand bonus. So that is the concept for the build. We are forcing ourselves and using this new brand set that the latest update gave us, which is electric. Status effects, shock resistance, and SMG damage. So is this the best status effects SMG build out there? Probably not, but it's a pretty good one if you want to experiment using the new brand that the last update gave us. This is pretty good. So for the playstyle for this build, there's like a different multiple different setups that you could do, a different chest piece, a different backpack talent, but I think I will feature this one because this one I didn't knew that existed before. This is the combination of assault turret and chem launcher fire starter. What will happen is that you throw your assault turret to a choke point or maybe a door, and that turret will start shocking enemies with the talent that we have here in the backpack, which is tamper proof. And then you just throw a bunch of fire starter chem launcher on areas, and that assault turret will start shooting that area, and it will ignite and make everyone burn. Okay, that is the build. So let's take a look at the items. First up, the weapon. Main weapon for the build is Cabaret. Stats that you want: SMG damage, critical hit chance, and I have here damage out of cover, although it use critical hit damage as well. The talent that this gun has is Perfect Thunder Strike. Deals 40% extra damage to shock targets. The mods that I put here is 5% critical hit chance, 20 plus rounds, 5% critical hit chance, and another 5% critical hit chance. For the secondary weapon, I'm using a St. Elmo engine. This is basically a backup weapon. You just want to have some ammo to shock enemies. The talent that this gun has is Actum Est. Shooting an enemy with this weapon will give 1 stack. At 100 stacks, the next magazine will be filled with shock ammo. You can't really change the mods that you have here, but the idea is just to have some ammo that are shock ammo and shock enemies and trigger the backpack talent. And for the sidearm, you can use whatever you want. Okay, so that is it for the weapons. Now let's take a look at the armor pieces. First up is the mask. We are using a electric brand set for this mask. Electric brand set gives you 10% status effects, 20% shock resistance, 10% SMG damage. Now the core attribute you want is skill tier, skill damage, status effects, and skill haste. Next is the chest piece, another electric brand set. That will trigger the second piece bonus. The core attribute that we have here is skill tier. So just worry about getting skill damage and status effects, and then put a skill haste mod at the very end. The talent that we are using here is tamper proof. Enemies that walk within 3 meters of your hive turret or a more pulse are shocked. Arm time is 2 seconds, cooldown per skill is 10 seconds. Now throw our turret on like open areas, areas that we think enemies are gonna pass through. Now if you know the mission, if you know where enemies are coming from, this is very nice, very fun to use. For the holster, I'm using a Bratos de Arcabus. It gives us 10% skill haste and +1 skill tier since we're wearing another piece. But in the comment, the suggestion was using Picaro's holster. Now, something like this, you want status effects as the attribute and then weapon damage. This is the unique thing about this named gear. It has like weapon damage as its attribute. And ideally, you want to roll the armor into skill tier. But I don't have that, so I just settled for the same brand, which is Bratos de Arcabus, and instead of having weapon damage, I have here skill damage, status effects, and I did roll the core attribute into skill tier. So it works pretty well because the only difference is that this one has like weapon damage and status effects. Meanwhile, if you use a Bratos de Arcabus, you have skill damage instead of weapon damage, and you have status effects. For the backpack, I'm using another Electrique. It will activate the third piece bonus, which is SMG damage. Core attribute is skill tier. That is what you want. And then for the secondary attribute, we will have status effects, skill damage, and skill haste. Pretty much the same as the other pieces of gear. For the talent, shock and awe. Applying a status effects to an enemy increases total skill damage by 20% for 20 seconds. Right, so that's pretty long. And you know, shoot an enemy with St. Elmo's engine, shock them, and you get a benefit of like for 20 seconds you have like 20% increased skill damage. Pretty nice. For the gloves, we are using firm handshake. Now the default roll that this item has is weapon damage always, but the unique thing is that it has the secondary attribute of status effects, 15%. Ideally, you want something like this, and then you re-roll the weapon damage into skill tier. But it's pretty hard to get, so what I have here is I just re-rolled the secondary stat into skill damage, and I just retained the 15% weapon damage here. For the knee pads, ideally you want Golan gear for this slot. Golan gear gives you the first brand set bonus is 10% status effects. However, it's kind of hard for me. I don't have the item yet, but the stats that you want for this is reroll the main core attribute into skill tier, so that's like +1 skill tier, and then you have the attribute of skill damage and status effects. But I don't have that item, so I just went for the Bratos de Arcabus because it activates the second brand bonus of +1 skill tier. And then I could still have like a bit of armor as the core attribute. I don't have to reroll that, and I'm just gonna have to worry about the secondary attribute of rerolling one of it into status effects, like so. For the skills, we are using a assault turret, also a chem launcher, fire starter. For the assault turret, the mods that I used here is skill health, 5% damage, and 7.5 skill haste. Alright, that is the assault turret. For the second skill, we are using a chem launcher, fire starter version. The mods that I used here is skill haste and burn strength. Now for the specialization, I'm using technician, mainly for this talent here, which is amped. It gives us +1 skill tier. The other talent that you want to unlock is this one. It gives you 15% submachine gun damage, very important. And if you decide to use St. Elmo assault rifle, this is pretty good too, 15% assault rifle damage. Now before we go to the shooting range, let's take a quick look at the stats. Right now I'm using the Cabaret. Critical hit chance is 45%. And the critical hit damage is pretty low, 45%, right? But this is not a weapon build. This is a skill build, so we'll take a look at the turret here, which is skill tier 6, 55 skill haste, 15-second cooldown. The duration is 185 seconds. 5 million health, 100,000 damage, and that's about it. For the chem launcher, we have skill tier 6, 55 skill haste, 7 ammo, 18 seconds ammo cooldown. The cloud radius is almost 4%. The cloud duration is 20 seconds. The damage is 650,000. The burn damage is 300,000, and the burn duration is 11 seconds. Okay, so here we are at the shooting range. Let me just demonstrate some of the skills here. Mainly the chest piece talent and the backpack talent, which is shock and awe. Applying a status effects to an enemy increases the total skill damage and skill repair by 20% for 20 seconds. Okay, and the other one is tamper proof. Enemies that are near your turret will get shocked, right? So let me just throw my turret here, right in here, and you can see the damage. Right now it's 106,000 per shot. All right. Now if I pick this up and I throw this here in the near the enemy here, for example, that is a door, and then that enemy comes out, it gets shocked. All right. And as you can see, while it's shocked, instead of the damage of like 106, now it's 127,000 per shot coming from the assault turret. So that is the shock and awe talent that I will focus here at the bottom. That icon means that we have 20% more skill damage for 20 seconds. Now for the other talent, we're going to be talking about the Saint Elmo exotic rifle. The talent is Actum Est. Now basically what we have to do is just shoot this enemy here. I will focus here at the lower left. There is an icon there. Every time we shoot an enemy, it increases. Every time we shoot an enemy, we get a stack. Now if we reach 100 stacks, the next reload that we do, for example this one, I will reload and I will zoom in. You can see that icon there. That means shock ammo. We have shock ammo, and each shot that we do will shock the enemy, like so. And I did test it. The duration of the shock that we do with the Saint Elmo's engine is affected by stacking status effects. So I did test this before because I was planning to do another build using Saint Elmo, but it turns out that it was getting affected by status effects. So I think that build is a failure. But as you can see, if I'm going to shoot this enemy, the duration of the shock is pretty long. I think it's around 6 seconds. Let me test it here. 001, 002, 003, 004, 005, 006. So pretty long, and without any status effects, because I did have a build that didn't really have any status effects. The duration of the shock was just 3 seconds. Okay, so for the playstyle, let me just show you first how the combo of assault turret and chem launcher works. Right now I'm gonna place the turret here, all right, and I'm gonna switch to my chem launcher, and I'm gonna aim here at the training dummy, and I will shoot there, right? And the assault turret will aim to that position, and it will shoot the enemy nearest to that area, right? And it will trigger the fire explosion that the fire starter skill does. And you can see here, I'm not changing my gun, I'm not shooting it, but if you direct your turret to shoot in that direction, it will make the entire area explode, right? So very nice combo. You don't have to worry about shooting it with a gun. Your turret will automatically do it for you. So very nice. But for ideal gameplay, if that is a door, if you know that enemies are just gonna go out of that door, what you want to do is throw your turret there in that direction, and then just switch to your chem launcher and shock enemies, right? And then make everyone engulf in flames, because with the turret shooting at them and them being shocked by the turret, you're just gonna pretty much kill everyone. It's very fun, and surprisingly it works very, very well, or really well, against like those slow walking enemies, those heavies. They're really fun to burn. Anyways guys, that is the build. Is this the strongest SMG status effect build out there? No, probably not, because again, we are forcing ourselves and using the  3-piece electric brand set, which is not really ideal. But you know, we're just trying to make use of these new items that we got from the update. But in the future, maybe a few days from now, I will probably make something that is similar here, but we're gonna be using Saint Elmo's engine, and instead of like burning enemies, we're gonna be shocking enemies, probably with a shock trap or something. But I find this build very fun to use, and it's very strong as well. Like I said before, the heavies, you know, the slow walking enemies, if you know that you're gonna come out of that door, you could throw your turret there and just throw the fire starter chem launcher, and everyone is burning, and it's really fun. It's fun to see you bully these big enemies, you know. Also, the other enemies just immediately die. Very fun build, very strong build. I suggest that you, if you haven't seen or haven't tried the combo of assault turret and chem launcher, fire starter, try it. It's very fun. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.